Hey everyone, Paulus here. So today we're going to talk about how to provide excellent customer service. So I think all of us can agree, we know when we have experienced it and we're like, wow, that company has it together. Like they know how to do awesome customer service. So how do we learn from them? And what are the patterns or things that they're looking at to help continuing to make their customer service better and start to really delight their customers? So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I actually started my company back in 2006, so 15 years ago, in the telephone answering service space. So we started doing a lot for customers. So even though we have an outsourcing company, a lot of companies out there kind of do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We actually developed our company to be able to work with our customers' clients first. So we've been in this customer service, what I call customer experience space, for a long time. So over the years, the model has really evolved. I really break down the customer experience into 3 segments: marketing, sales, and what we call Omni-Support. So if you think about Omni-Support, the reason why it's no longer phones anymore is because there's different channels that customers come to visit you, right? It could be web chat, telephone, email, social replies, text messaging. There's a lot of tech support now that's out there. And so there's a lot of ways for customers to interact with you. In fact, there's a study that says that most businesses have at least 10 channels that customers are interacting with them from. So if you think about it, business is no longer just about answering phones. We really have to learn how to design a great customer experience. And that is complicated business for a lot of the smaller companies. So if you think about enterprise level companies have been dealing with this for a long time to a degree. Like they didn't have as many channels, but they really had to learn a lot of the different components of the customer journey. And people were okay just with a small company, just calling them up or sending them an email. But now, no matter the size or the industry, customers want to interact with companies how they want to interact. Some people like to go and interact on social posts or in group feeds, or some people want to can you just pick up the phone and call me? Like we have customers that will say that. Like, I like to just talk to somebody. There's some that refuse to ever talk to us and they just want to do it all through email. Some people, we have Slack channels, we're connecting with them via Slack. Like there's so many different ways now to interact with customers, and people, we have so many different inboxes that people are like, well, if I'm going to work with you, I really want to work through my inbox, which has kind of made things a little bit complicated for companies. So recently I've had some pretty big epiphanies around the customer experience. So again, for a lot of years, I just kind of defined the customer journey as marketing, sales, and Omni-Support. And then I also created a pretty cool diagram, which I'll pop up on the screen here, where I talked about the whole customer journey. And I looked at a lot of other kind of customer experience diagrams. I didn't really like any of them because in my brain, I have to kind of logically follow it through the customer journey. So really you go from attracting a stranger into your website, right? Like if people don't know about you, you've got to figure out how to bring them in. So in the marketing world, we got to say, okay, we need to attract people in. And then from there, we need to get them to go and engage with our website. And then we can start to potentially put in their email, or they can become a lead for us where we can start to communicate with them. And then eventually they can move from what we call a lead to a prospect, where a prospect to me is we're now engaging in a 2-way conversation with the person, and we can talk to them about how we can serve their needs and solve some of the problems that they're having. And then they're like, yes, I'm interested. And so we go and we onboard them as a client. And then from there, a client's coming in with a very specific set of expectations. Like they know in their head what success looks like for them. And it's important for us to know what success looks like for the customer so that we can deliver from their lens, from their perspective. And so to me, that's what kind of when you get into the Omni-Support and in that customer success side of things, it's really important to really understand what customer satisfaction means. I know that's kind of a cliche word anymore, but really we have to meet their basic needs. We have to satisfy their basic needs. But in order to do that, you have to understand what they are, right? So once you can satisfy their needs, there's another part that we need to add on that I think people forget about, and that is delighting customers, doing above and beyond what they didn't even expect. Because people will stay with you if you're satisfying their needs, but if somebody woos them, like if they're like, needs are being met, but I like what you have to offer, they'll jump ship if you're just satisfying their needs. But if you're delighting them, something magical happens. So if you go and you take the customer and you're like, wow, now I'm delighting them. I'm doing things that they're not expecting. I'm sending them maybe something in the mail because we work very virtually, so we can go send them something physically. Like things that are just kind of shock and wow them a little bit. Delighting doesn't work if you aren't satisfying their needs first. So just become more toxic. Same thing for employees. Like you have to satisfy first and then you can delight. And then what's cool is customers will start to engage with you. They'll start engaging your communities. They'll start engaging with your team better. Like they feel like a part of your team and you know what your business model is, right? And then from there, what's really amazing is they become advocates for you. They're going out and telling other people about you. And so again, I'll put this diagram up. So really what we've done is we've gone full circle with this diagram where now they're going and attracting people to you. So you're not having to do all the work yourself anymore. You're not having to do all the organic content and ads. Now you have your clients telling people about you. And that is when it gets magical. In the book, Good to Great, it actually talks about a flywheel and how a flywheel, when it's really heavy and when you initially start, it goes really, really slow. But as you kind of get it moving, the flywheel starts going faster and faster and faster. And that's kind of the way I look at this customer journey is, you know, you start out and it might be kind of slow because you got to kind of do all the steps yourself for a while. But as you start creating raving fans that want to now tell other people about you, that flywheel just keeps going on its own. And that is what creates massive growth. So now that was always my vision I had around the customer experience was that diagram. But over the last year, it's evolved even deeper. So we always knew to be able to provide good customer experience for our clients and our client's client, we had to have different specialized teams. So we have 7 departments now in our company. And the more I researched, the more I read, like, because we're so interconnected and the customer journey is so intertwined with multiple channels, we have to figure out how to get these departments to talk to each other, how to, when somebody answers the phone, they know what marketing campaigns are going on. I'm saying this all hypothetically and just speaking from experience. This is easier said than done. But I think we figured out how to connect departments organically. And that is being hyper-focused on the customer journey. So we recently went through an exercise where we used just even a Miro board, if you're familiar with Miro, and you literally just put sticky notes and you literally design out your customer journey. And that's what we did. We lined out not the journey as visionary, that's really easy to design the journey we want. Even more importantly is design the journey that you currently have. And then it allows you to expose all the gaps in your journey. So you can map out your customer journey and then it allows you to put opportunities that you know are opportunities to improve the customer journey. And so then you can kind of pick the low-hanging fruit that you can be like, oh, I can go enhance the customer journey with this one, that won't take very long. And then you can start to implement some of the deeper and the harder things over time and start getting it more and more dialed in. And so that's something that we're hyper-focused on for us, but it's something that we realized we need to actually provide for our clients because we had these departments over here and then they're outsourcing services, but there was a disconnect on what the client's doing, what we're doing, and how we can get the client to intrinsically understand what the journey is and who's doing what. And the biggest epiphany I had was this last week. I was at an Unlock the Secrets event put on by Russell Brunson. And I was in the lazy river at the resort and I was talking to this guy and kept asking me like, well, I still don't understand what you do. And I was like, kept trying to explain like, you know, what kind of with the departments and how we take, you know, services off people's plate. And I was still struggling. And then it clicked with me because not until I started to explain it from a customer journey perspective, where it's like, you know, we take your customer journey and can strategically integrate it through the different departments. So somebody rings in from the phone call, but they have a question about their invoice, we can actually route it to our accounting department, and then the accounts receivable department can get back to them. Or because we are also doing their marketing campaign, we can know what, you know, the people that answer the phones, the people that are doing sales can know what marketing campaigns are doing. So it allows us to be pretty strategic with the journey. And that's when it like clicked with him. And it made me realize, just a little tip when you're explaining your model, is like for us, everybody compares our model outsourcing model to virtual assistants. Because in their head, that's all they know. They think that's the only kind of solution that's out there. And so if you think about when you get into somebody's trying to explain something to you, but you misinterpreted it and you're like in one realm over here. And then when it clicks, you're like, oh, I was thinking you were talking about this, but you actually have to like pull yourself out of that realm and get into the other realm. And that's the way I look at it, like with what we were doing, like people are assuming virtual assistant. So I have to figure out how to pull people, no, we are not a virtual assistant, pull them out of that realm and then open up their mind to be like, here's another way that you maybe have never thought of before that's possible. So that's kind of, you can do something similar as you're thinking about your company and the way you provide for your customers. And what I highly recommend is map out that customer journey. So now I'd like to talk about business intelligence and how that applies to a great customer experience. But before I do that, if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and like and subscribe and kind of tell me in the comments what you're loving about these videos. So again, business intelligence really only works for companies that have validated a product and are looking to scale their company. That is when that data is so critical, because really think about, as you're scaling, there's a lot more risk, right? You risk not getting the feedback loop from the customer that you're getting. Maybe there's things within your organization, your systems, that the data is not reporting back to you. And it's really cool because there's a really amazing business intelligence trend that's happening, and a lot within the AI space as well. And I know a lot of people like scream, oh, AI and business intelligence is the opposite of customer service, but it really isn't. It actually can help enhance what I call the human experience even more. To me, technology should always be to serve the human experience, not the other way around. So every time a technology is built, it should enhance the human experience. Because sometimes people think that everything has to be manual or somebody has to be on a phone to provide good customer service. And that is just not true. I actually can work and still like do a web chat with somebody where I'm not having to be tied up on a phone call. So I prefer like tech support or web chat support. People now want to self-serve. I mean, what is it? They say 80% of the sales process actually happens before they even talk to anybody. In the ClickFunnels world, that's 100%. Sometimes you can get a sale before even talk to anybody. It's an interesting kind of phenomenon that's happening. People just care that they are creating an experience that they like and that they are getting their problems solved. They don't really care how it gets done as much, as long as it's a seamless journey. There's a lot of business intelligence and survey type software that's out there. It used to be like, hey, here's a survey, can you tell us how we're doing? Or there's like the Net Promoter Score has been around for a while. People can rank how likely they are to refer you to somebody else. Like that's kind of been a thing that's been around. But we never had really a way to pull data points from the different parts of the customer journey. And so now that's kind of what is starting to happen, is as you map out that customer journey, you can start to pull data points from all of those things and start to create a pretty good picture of what is really happening with your customers. And the data doesn't lie, right? A lot of times. So, as you're getting that, you can start to see patterns and then dig deeper. And I think don't rely solely on data. Start to get qualitative stuff that isn't, quantitative is good, but you also want qualitative stuff. Just getting that direct feedback from the customer is brilliant too. A way to do it, a lot of times if you've developed a relationship with the customer, they're usually not super honest with you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. You just have to remember that most people aren't going to be honest with you because they want to hurt your feelings. So if you go about it another way where you use like a third party to help engage with them, or in our company, we actually have implemented an executive assistant program that pairs with all of our departments. And it's actually started to work out beautifully, because what's happening is the executive assistant creates a personal relationship with the business owner. A lot of the departments, their job is to work with our clients' customers more so. The executive will actually be very, even though it's the same company, because they've developed a personal relationship with the EA, they're willing to be open about what the other departments aren't doing right. So it creates this very healthy checks and balances. So again, my recommendation is start with a customer journey map. Just map out what your current customer journey is and how you can start to improve it and make it better. If you would actually like help with your customer journey, it's something we've started doing for our clients, is actually helping them map out the customer journey. So if you want help and would love to become kind of a part of our team sourcing model and working with our consultants and process experts to kind of map out that journey, you can actually go to discoverteamsourcing.com. So again, if you really want a support and don't want to have to go at this alone, like we actually hired somebody to help us with it, and now she's kind of working within our team and helping us build journeys for our clients. So again, you can go to discoverteamsourcing.com. You can get on our call with one of our team sourcing experts and just tell them, hey, I'm interested in getting help with my customer journey mapping. Also understand that it could also be an employee journey mapping or like an affiliate or partner journey map too. It applies to all of those things. So anyways, I look forward to working with you. Talk to you soon. Bye.